Hello ladies and gents, let's talk Halo episode 7. Yes, I know, still reviewing it. This was a Kwan episode, fully. Look, obviously, you are just going to have to sit here and watch me, I know. You can't show any footage. You can't show anything. You can't show trailers. I can't do anything. Because CBS is just copyright claiming, striking everyone. Angry Joe's been hit, I've been hit. You just can't do it. Can't take the risk. This show's definitely not worth the risk involved in just showing some images. So Soz gonna have to look at me, all right? But it's fine. Okay, at least you don't have to look at Master Cheek's face. So, so as stated, this is a Kwan episode, which I did think to myself, the entire last episode has solely been about Master Cheeks. Where's Kwan? And then lo and behold, we get a whole episode of her. What a surprise. What a surprise. I mean, I thought this was bloody Halo. What is going on? This episode really does open up some absolute nonsense. So we're on Madrigal. The entire time we're on Madrigal. We do dip over to Soren's rubble at one point, but it's a Kwan episode. It is a Kwan episode. And we open the episode with, some flashbacks and stuff like that. Again, to this child being really petulant, being very unlikable. Someone you don't want to deal with. Not a very nice person. And she's dealing with her father. She's dealing with her father's soldiers and all this kind of crap. And then we flash forward to her driving through the desert. She drives through the desert in a windowless car in a massive sandstorm. And you're like, mate, your eyes would be ripped out of their sockets. You ever done sandblasting? Like it rips paint off metal. Sand at high speed, it will rip the skin off. It's very, 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 very harsh. And she's driving full pelt into a sandstorm. She sees figures in the distance, and then she puts her brakes on. And I wish I could show it. Oh God, I wish I could show it, but it is so fake. She puts her brakes on, and the car just stops. There's no suspension travel, there's no movement, and it clearly was just on runners. You know how they set these things up in green screen rooms and sound stages, and this car was very clearly just on runners, and they haven't adjusted anything. Like, at least change something. So what I mean by that is underneath, there's just, surrounding each wheel, there'd be runners, so the wheels are turning on runners, and then they just stop the runners, so the wheels stop moving, but the car doesn't move. Which does matter, because it adds authenticity to what you're trying to show. Anyway, whatever. She finds some figures, then she gets knocked out, and then, woo, she's in desert woman land. It's just it's a tribe of women in the desert. Don't ask me how they survive. There's no men. Don't ask me how. Physics. The biology's not there. It doesn't make any sense. They're just weird desert witchy women. And they're like, oh, well, you're not ready to know the truth, Kwan. You're not ready. Anyway, she doesn't take much convincing. And Kwan's like, I am ready. She's like, fine. Drink this drug juice. Because apparently Madrigal's just full of people getting high. Remember the first episode? We see Kwan, she finds drugs for everyone. And then this episode, they're like, here, Kwan, get high. So she gets high. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, she gets high. Sees Master Chief. And then she's got to stage a fight between Master Chief consistently and starts dying. It's just this really nonsense sort of allegory for her fighting with the UNSC, I would imagine, and then having to work with them, I would imagine. It doesn't make any sense. Because if that is the case, basically she starts fighting Master Chief, and then Master Chief kills her, she wakes up, she has to do it again continuously in this weird phased out land, in her mind of being high. And then all of a sudden Master Chief takes off his helmet, holds his hand out to her and helps her up, and then she's resolved. And it's like, what is that an allegory for? Is that an allegory for her fighting with the UNSC, working with the UNSC? What is it for? It doesn't make any sense, because her father fought against the UNSC. So it literally didn't make any sense at all. Anyway, she sees her father. They commune with one another, and her father, obviously from the grave, tells her there is a great portal on Madrigal, and it can only be unlocked when Madrigal is free. And that's what they've been fighting for, a portal. just some weird mumbo-jumbo nonsense. There's no mechanism for it. It doesn't make any sense. Is it forerunners? It probably isn't. If it is, did they plant these drugs for people to drink? Like, what's the mechanism for this? Within Halo lore, what is the mechanism? Doesn't make any goddamn sense. Anyway, that happens. Soren comes back from being away on the rubble and fighting his pirate life. Comes back, saves Kwan, because Kwan's like, right, I'm going over here. And then Fincher finds her. They stage a massive fight where Soren gets shot in the neck, but presumably not that badly because he's fine. And anyway, Fincher dies, and then Kwan's like, I've freed Madrigal now, and that's it. It was the most boring, I don't know, sort of non-offensive yet offensive episode yet. Because it's all about Kwan, who's an awful character, shown to be awful, even in flashbacks. So it's not like, she's just an awful person. She's just like, just being rude to people non-stop. I don't get it. And the allegories and the weird getting high and seeing Master Cheeks didn't make any sense. And we don't see anyone else. This is not an episode for anything else. And I tell you what's so funny. Even in this weird drugged up flashback, Master Chief has to take off his helmet. Even in this weird drugged up flashback, Master Chief takes off all of his armour. They just can't help themselves in every single episode. It is almost like the writers were like, you know what people are going to really hate? If Master Chief takes off his helmet. And then they're just like, fuck it, we're going to do it in every single episode. Because there's no reason to do it in this episode. So dumb. So dumb. Soren is a pirate. He's a pirate. I don't care. It's fine. But this weird mumbo-jumbo, hippy-dippy nonsense, there's no mechanism for that to work within Halo lore. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I'm not an expert on Halo lore. But I'm fairly certain there is absolutely no mechanism for that within Halo lore. So let me know. Anyway, if you've watched it, please regale me with how fantastic you thought it was. Sarcasm. I can't wait to hear it. Outside of that, and you haven't watched it, definitely don't watch it because it's not that good. I'm bemused with where they're going to be going for this second season because there's only like 2 more episodes left. 2 more episodes of this drivel, and then we've got another season. Crap. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Take care.